morning. Good morning and welcome on this beautiful Sunday. It's great to see you all here today. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose, and here we are at the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. We welcome you in heart, mind, and being. And let us continue to breathe deeply and let go of the busyness. Let go of getting here and just allow ourselves to be here as we breathe and go deeper and listen to the words of our sacred reading.
From When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron. There once was a young warrior. Her teacher told her that she had to do battle with fear. She didn't want to do that. It seemed too aggressive. It was scary. It seemed unfriendly. But the teacher said that she had to do it and gave her the instructions for the battle. The day arrived. The student warrior stood on one side and fear stood on the other. The warrior was feeling very small, and fear was looking big and wrathful. They both had their weapons. The young warrior roused herself and went towards fear, prostrated 3 times, and asked, "May I have permission to go into battle with you?" Fear said, "Thank you for showing me so much respect that you ask permission." Then the young warrior said, "How can I defeat you?" Fear replied, "My weapons are that I talk fast and I get very close into your face. Then you get completely unnerved and you do whatever I say. If you don't do what I tell you, I have no power. You can listen to me and you can have respect for me. You can even be convinced by me. But if you don't do what I say, I have no power." In that way, the student warrior learned how to defeat fear.
And so we allow those words to sink in and open our hearts. Willingness to be with everything about ourselves, our faith and our fear, our joy and our sorrow, our darkness and our light. Holding it all in this mystical I am presence that is the life of all of us. Let us be in that tender space, on that threshold of receiving, as we sing together, I am remembering, and do the work of remembering the truth about all of us. And how wonderful it is to rest in the I am presence as the I am presence, knowing that I am is the name of God, which is the name of everything. Let us center in that awareness, feel it in our hearts, and then breathe in deeply. And then exhale, opening our eyes in love with what is as it is, and so it is.
I love you guys. My only regret today is that Todd's dear, dear friend Harriet Levy is not here with us to sing this new jazz standard that I have composed. So we'll think of Harriet. It's all about me. Oh yeah. Sorry, Bonnie. It's all about me. Everything I truly believe shows up at my door. I can't ignore, it's all about me. Let's face it, every moment it's all about me. All the good and bad I see. No one else can take the credit. There, I finally said it. Don't bother trying to pretend. Beware that prayer you send to some guy up in the sky, and that leaves you wondering why there's no answer. 'Cause it's all about you. Oh, yes, indeed, it's all about you. Everything you truly believe, with your heart on your sleeve, you're creating something new. So remember when you doubt, love is what this life's about. 'Cause it's all about you, and it's all about me. Yeah.
Well, since it's all about Karen, I guess we're done here. So, yeah, okay. All right. I want to take it down for just a moment and just talk a little bit before I move into the talk. I was just standing here during the meditation, thinking about what a couple of weeks it's been. This has been life. This has been life in a nutshell. You know, I mean, 2 weeks ago we were mourning the loss of the 7 people that were, was it 7, right? 9 people that were shot in South Carolina, and what a tragedy that was. But I heard from somebody who used to attend this church, who moved to South Carolina, who lives in Charleston now, and she said that people of all shapes and sizes and orientations and races were coming together just to support that church, and it's such a beauty rising out of the ashes. I'm going to cry. And then this week I was anticipating the Supreme Court's decision. I was watching my nephew's wedding that I did, which was the first legal same-sex wedding that I did, and how, you know, I've done holy unions for years before it was legal, and the first time I said, I now pronounce you husbands by the power vested in me by the state of New York at the time, because it wasn't legal in California. And just watching that and then hearing the decision from the Supreme Court so that love can be magnified and multiplied for all people, just filled me with such joy. And such fullness, and I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about that today, but then I see people with their hair in rainbow colors, and I'm like, well, okay, that's a sign, so I might as well. So anyway, with all of that said, I have an absolutely ridiculous talk title today, and it's, what is it? I can't even remember it. It's a scandalous approach to desperately seeking approval. I come up with these things on Wednesday, and by Sunday I have to find a way to make it work. And I'm not sure if I've quite gotten there yet, but we'll see what happens, right? Okay. So the scandalous part. Woohoo! No. So, minister's gone wild, right? Yeah, again, thank you for that. Yeah. No, the scandalous part is actually a line from a text written by a theologian called Walter Brueggemann, and he's quoted by one of my teachers, Richard Rohr, quite a bit, where he talks about the scandal of the particular. What does that mean? What that means is that God that is so vast, and God that is so infinite, and God that is so mighty manifested the earth out of itself. And so God's presence is in everything, and God's presence is in every moment, in every detail, in every flaw, in every transgression, in every little tiny thing, and that is scandalous to the ego. The ego cannot tolerate that God is in the ordinary, so we call it the scandal of the particular. And we are all living the scandal of the particular every single day. Just the other day, I was getting ready to go for a hike, and I have a blister on my foot, so I pulled a Band-Aid out of my medicine cabinet, and I just held the Band-Aid for a minute, and for some reason, the Band-Aid was holy, and it got me, not literally holy, but filled with grace, and hail Band-Aid, full of grace, and it just brought me on this train of thought about, wow, I remember when I bought these Band-Aids. I bought these Band-Aids in one of our beautiful Christmas pageants when we had, I don't think Jennifer Hadras is here today, but Jennifer Hadras played the role of a nurse, and her boys played orphans, and we had to give them something to do on stage because, do you know the Hadras boys? They're quite lively, so we gave them Band-Aids to apply. So I had some leftover Toy Story Band-Aids from that show, and I just had this such a vivid memory of seeing her boys come on stage wearing their Boy Scout uniforms, tripping over each other like they were puppies. And then I thought about a class that I taught a couple of months ago, where the first night I showed up to class with a Band-Aid on my finger, and I told the class, I got cut by a ninja today. But it was the blender, not actually a martial artist. I got cut by my ninja. And I thought about this long-standing tradition I have of every time I get a new device with blades, I tend to cut myself on it. The time I did it on New Year's Day when I was making scalloped potatoes right before I had to do a wedding on New Year's Day. And it was kind of like Julia Childs in that Chevy Chase scene, with the blood spurting around the kitchen, and I just had to wrap it in gauze and do the wedding and hope for the best. And then I thought about hiking and how these Band-Aids allow me to hike and how holy they are and what a sacred place that is for me and how much in love I am with the mountains in Ojai and in love with my dogs and in love with the meditation that I do when I'm up there. And all of that from a Band-Aid. That is the scandal of the particular in action, and that is available to all of us. So I have an assignment for you. I hardly ever give assignments. When you go home, you take out a Band-Aid. No, when you go home, take out something ordinary. Just take a moment with something ordinary and respect it. Respect means to look a second time. The first glance of things is often, how is this thing about me? The second glance is the contemplative glance, which sees things for what they are and sees the beauty and the power and the infinite in the ordinary. Take a second glance at someone at something or someone, and I guarantee that it will bring you on a similar journey to the scandal of the particular in everything in your life. And what would it be like if you made a daily practice of that, of picking up something ordinary and just saying, what can you teach me today? I want to learn from you. So, I seem to be able to find the holiness in a Band-Aid. I'm sure, I totally trust that you all will find the holiness in whatever object that you pick to examine and respect. But what about when you look in the mirror? Can you see the holiness and the scandal of the particular in that face that you've been looking at for so many years? Robert Fulghum writes about how when we start out in life, we look in the mirror and we're just fascinated to see that we exist and we make faces. And then right around, 12, 13, 14, we start looking for what? Zits, pimples, acne, all of the above. You're all correct, right? Later on, we start looking for wrinkles. Did I hear someone say ringworm? Really? Okay, whatever. We start looking for wrinkles, and I think perhaps I'm really past looking for the wrinkle phase. I know they're there, and they're going to be there, and they're there, and they're beautiful in their own way. But I do know that when I look in the mirror, it's hardly ever to marvel and say, oh my God, you are so beautiful today. You are amazing. You are a divine child of God. It's so much more about just looking for flaws, looking to see if my hair is combed, which it hardly ever is, and looking to see if, I've got food in my teeth or something like that. And I think what that is a sign of, if you really look at the way you look in the mirror, that's a sign of something that we all do, very unconsciously, but it's just part of the human experience, and that is the desperate, ongoing search for approval. Hence the title, A Scandalous Approach to Desperately Seeking Approval. We are constantly looking for approval. And it's something that just stays with us. I remember it was part of the Sedona method. They talk about the 5 wants in the Sedona method, which is a teaching that I practiced for quite a while. And one of the major wants is the want and the need for approval. Some people may say that they are above looking for approval. I've heard that before. I've heard people say to me, oh yeah, I don't need to prove anything anymore. I'm totally confident. I am above approval. I laugh at those people now. I suspect that sometimes people say that they are above seeking approval because they want approval. They want to show how spiritual they are. I don't mean to be judgmental, but that's just my suspicion, because it's just a very natural and subtle part of who we are. It's part of our survival, and it just kind of creeps in when we're not suspecting it. I was on a conference call the other day. Has anyone here ever Skyped? Raise your hand if you've Skyped. Yeah, okay. Well, I was a Skype virgin until Monday, and my sister had told me that when you Skype, the camera makes you look 20 years older. So I called a practitioner, and no, I actually spoke to one of our practitioners who knows about fashion and such, and she said, put the camera up high and look up, and then everything falls back and you look younger. Somehow I forgot to do that, but because I think what really happened, I was thinking about this, why I did what I did, which just gets worse. I kind of just thought it was about me seeing my own face and not liking what I saw, but really what it is, it's this whole conference call, seeing each other. So I was treating it kind of like a phone call where you can look like crap and just talk on the phone and nobody knows the difference, right? The conference call was at 3 o'clock. Oh, and by the way, it was with Nipun Mehta, who is our kindness guru, who, this summer he's coming for, I think he's going to do a Sunday for us, and I like to tell people, he's squeezing us in between the Dalai Lama and Jimmy Carter. So, anyway, so it was with all these, sophisticated people that are apt to try and change the world, and I got on the conference call thinking that I was getting on a phone call, even though I knew I was Skyping, and I realized that I had done absolutely nothing to fix myself up. And it had been a really bad day of dishevelment. It had been a day of an 8-mile hike and cleaning the entire house, and let's not even talk about my personal hygiene when I'm at home. Please don't talk about my personal Occasionally I'll come in to sign checks and I'll say to Annette, stay away from me. It's getting to the point of unsanitary. Just stay away from me. But my hair was messy. I was wearing a ripped and dirty, torn T-shirt and didn't have any makeup on. And I just looked at myself and I looked like crap. I just looked like crap. But we're talking about changing the world and kindness and being good and putting shoes on the feet of the children of Ecuador. And because I am freaking human and freaking seeking approval, we're talking about, clothing the children of Ecuador. And I see my eyes looking over to my picture saying, oh, maybe if I turn my head this way, I won't look quite And then I have the thought, I can just click off, and then I can go comb my hair, put on some makeup, and come back like this. And then, everybody will know. They'll know how shallow you are. So I was stuck. Annette asked me, how did the other people look? I'm like, they looked good. I was the only one who looked like Medusa, But anyway, that's the way it works. That's the subtlety of the way that we seek approval. So I really encourage you to laugh at yourselves and laugh at the ways that you're seeking approval. Are you seeking approval right now? Are you seeking approval when you go to the grocery store? Are you seeking approval at your workplace? Are you seeking approval with your spouse or your partner or your friends or your children? How about that? We're all constantly on this subtle, desperate search for approval. And it's just part of being human, but there are some things we can do with it. First, something that we perhaps could not do with it. And that is to entirely give all of our power to the person who does not approve of us. Has anyone here ever done that? Really? If you have not done that, would you please stand up so we can worship you, please? You know that when somebody criticizes you, much of your attention is on that person who has criticized you, right? And it could be anything. It could be a child. You're setting limits with a child, and have you ever heard, I hate you, Daddy, I hate you, Mommy, you're the worst mother, father, whatever in the world. You're the worst mother, father in the world, right? Okay, do you approve of me for saying that? Okay. Anyway, so it could be anything. It could be a parent that's overly demanding of your time and your attention. It could be a sibling that is critical. It could be a boss who is demanding, right, Annette? It could be anything. There are so many opportunities for us to give our power away to that one person who disapproves of us. I know that on Sundays, if I feel like I've done a great talk, and then I get what I call a drive-by at the back door, somebody tells me what's wrong with what I've said or what's wrong with what I'm wearing or, whatever. Does my mind go to the place of the great talk and all of the great comments I got and all of the great feedback and all of the great fellowship and the hearts that were opened? No. That person gets in my car with me, follows me home. I look over to my husband's side of the bed, and there's that person saying, you really sucked on Sunday. That's where our mind tends to go, right? Right? Am I alone in this? Okay. All right. So because I tend to teach in parables, because that's the way I learn the best, I want to tell you a story about a time when I really tried to give away all of my power to someone that disapproved of me. Often when I tell stories in church, people think, oh, she's talking about me. I'm not. I promise you, I'm not. This is something that happened a long time ago, and if I was going to talk about you and it was unflattering, I would tell you about it first. How's that, okay? So this was something, a colleague of mine, where she wanted a letter of recommendation for something. And we were colleagues, and I had some concerns about her, and so I told her that I would write the letter, but it was a confidential letter, and then I told her that I had some concerns, and I told her what they were going to be. So I wrote the letter, I sent it. She did not get into the program that she was applying for, and she blamed my letter on it. So all of a sudden, she called me up, and she started insisting that she see that letter. And she yelled at me. It was one of those conversations where the phone was like, whoa, yelling. She said a lot of really bad things about me. What a bad person I was, how selfish I was to not show her the letter. Used everything in the arsenal of manipulation tricks, which is things like guilt or anger or pressure, confusion, All of those things that we do, that people do, to try and get their way with us. And I was really, really tempted to show her the letter because I felt like I needed her approval. Even after I had been honest with her, even after I had said that I wasn't going to show her the letter, I still felt like I needed this person who was yelling at me. I needed her to approve of me. At that time, I was fortunate to be hanging around with a bunch of therapists who were very wise and very kind. And when I told them the story, they said to me, "Are you crazy? You are not going to show her that letter. It's none of her business." So I didn't, and that was the end of that. But in looking at that and looking at stories like that, Karen just perfectly picked that song about "It's All About Me." It's so easy to make the person who is yelling at us or the person who is trying to control us or the person that we're giving our power to, it's so easy to make that scenario about them, about how badly they're behaving. But what is our part? What is our responsibility? Because that's where we take back our power. That's where our power really resides. So somebody's yelling at me. They want a certain outcome. They want me to do something that will complete their world, they say. And I'm tempted to cave. Why am I tempted to cave? Again, because I am seeking their approval. The problem is not with the other person. The problem is in our desperate seeking of approval. So that's why it's great to look at yourself and look where you're seeking approval in the little things, on the conference calls, when your hair is a mess, at the grocery store, whatever, any of those things where you're seeking the approval of somebody else. It's great to look at those little things, so when the big things come up, you can recognize, I'm getting entrapped in this. I am getting caught in this loop of nursing, cursing, and rehearsing this conversation that I've had, wondering if I should do what she wants me to do, wondering if I'm being a bad person for not doing what she wants me to do. If I'm doing that in my head over and over again, it's not as much about the other person. They may be behaving badly. It is much more about my need to make them like me, my need to get them to stop yelling, my need to get them to stop criticizing me. It is about me. It is about you, right? Okay, good. So we've got that all down pat, and we won't do that anymore ever again, right? Right. Okay. The other thing about that is when we are looking for approval from somebody, again, even if they're behaving badly, we have this uncanny knack of trying to get approval from people who are behaving badly, people gone wild. Woohoo! And that's also getting in our way, this idea of trying to get something. If we are trying to get something from another person, we are making that person our source. That person is not our source. God is our source. Just like that's the whole problem. That person who wanted that letter, she was making me her source for validation, her source for everything. And I am not her source. God is her source. So instead of trying to get something from someone, instead of trying to get someone to stop yelling, instead of trying to get someone to like you, instead of trying to get someone to approve of you, what if we could turn that around and ask instead, what will I give in this situation? The temptation will always be to give in to their demands, no matter how unreasonable it is. That's not what I'm talking about. Unless they are actually asking something legitimate, then of course you can give them that. But if they're asking something that is unreasonable, the question, what can I give in this situation, has a very different answer. It usually has something more to do with, I can give my authenticity. I can give my truth. I can tell truth to power and see what happens. I can state my truth without blame or judgment. I can live my life and thus stop enabling this person from making me their source so that they can live their life and they can explore other infinite possibilities. It's as easy as that. But it is doable. It is doable. And I have an example of how this worked for me one time, and it's very timely. I actually thought of it because of the Supreme Court decision about same-sex marriage this week, because there was a situation where I was tempted to show up in righteous indignation, and I chose not to. So I'm going to tell you that story now to illustrate this point that I'm making about giving rather than getting. So probably, 8 or 9 years ago, I was presented from another minister with a program that I was going to teach at the church, and it was a financial program. And it was a really wonderful prosperity program where it was the opportunity for people to get out of debt, and it sounded like this teacher really, really knew what he was doing. And it was from a company in Tennessee, and they were reaching out to all kinds of churches, sharing this wonderful financial program. And I was really excited about teaching it, and I really wanted to teach it because we had a lot of people in debt at the time, and I was looking forward to assisting people in clearing their debt. I wrote to the people, I got the program, I said I wanted to teach it. They sent me the contract, and when I read the contract, they said that there was a discount for married couples. And then they said marriage is defined in the state of Tennessee, a man and a woman. And so I looked at that and I was like, how could I possibly offer a class in this church where the straight couples pay one fee and the gay couples pay another fee? It's impossible. There's no way I could do that. And of course, the thought crossed my mind, well, just do it anyway and don't tell them. But I always get in trouble when I lie. And I also, and I have very high integrity too. So I forgot to mention that part as well. So, yeah, see, those two don't really go. I get in trouble when I lie, but I have high integrity. That's a whole other topic. So I've decided that I needed to have a conversation with the people who put out this program and see if there was any wiggle room, see if maybe that was just an old rule, Maybe they hadn't updated their material yet. And I found myself afraid to have this conversation via phone or via email. I found myself intimidated because I wanted them to approve of me. I wanted them when I said we honor same-sex relationships in this center, I wanted them to say, "Oh, that's wonderful, that's so big, it's just what it says in the Bible, absolutely, you should do that, yes, do that, you're wonderful, yeah, we're going to change all our material." I wanted their approval. Isn't that lame of me? That is just so lame of me. But because I wanted their approval so badly, and I didn't think I was going to get it, I was filled with righteous indignation, and I was going to come charging in there and tell them how wrong they were for believing what they believed, and that I was the right one, and they should change their policies. And then I got centered again. This is, the fourth or fifth writing of this email, right? I got centered again, and I thought, okay, you're really afraid that they're going to judge you? What are you doing to them right now? And so I had to take it back. I had to hit delete, and I had to write the email again. And the email was just very much stating the facts of this church. We are a center that honors same-sex union. It wasn't legal in California at the time, but when it is legal, I will do legal same-sex weddings. And I was just wondering, is there any wiggle room in your policies? And I want to respect what you do. And it was very much like the reading that Hugh did about Pema Chodron. I listened to fear. And I had compassion for fear, and I had respect for fear. But when they wrote me back and said, "No, we're sorry, we're not going to give you any wiggle room on that policy. Your same-sex couples have to pay double," I didn't do what fear told me to do. I just said, "Thank you very much. I appreciate your answer. I have to shop elsewhere." So that's how it is. That's how subtle it is. That's how grace-filled it is, because I couldn't have thought that up out of my ego, out of myself. It was just spirit, just meditating and understanding that we're all constantly in this beautiful, beautiful search for approval. And the thing about the search for approval, the reason I said it's beautiful, think back to that scandal of the particular. I just spent a while telling you about how I found God in a Band-Aid and how you can find God in any ordinary object in your home, a pair of toenail clippers, a marble, a piece of string. God is also in all of the things in our lives that seem so challenging. Our searching for approval, our desperate searching for approval, our searching for control, our searching for security, in our trials and our triumphs, in our willingness to show up flawed and our unwillingness to show up flawed. God is the perfection that is in all of that. Talk about a scandal of the particular. That's all God, that's all expressing. And the way that God gets to be expressed, gets to fulfill itself, gets to live out its perfect life is when we acknowledge it and when we love it. That's why at the end of the meditation I always say, open your eyes, in love with what is, in love with what is. Sometimes we think if we love it, we're going to create more of it. But no, it's about noticing, it's about seeing it, it's about respecting it, knowing that it's trying to help any of our flaws, any of our tribulations. It's about understanding that we are all on this sacred, human, hysterical journey that is so hilarious sometimes, right? And so tragic sometimes. It's all of it coming together in this beautiful mystery. And we get to be the facilitators of that through our observation, through our noticing, and then most certainly through our choice. The more you love yourself, the more you notice the scandal of the particular in yourself, in that face in the mirror, in all of the wrinkles, in all of the pimples, in all of the flaws, in all of the messy hair, in all of the everything, in all of your shortcomings, in all of your desires, in all of your seeking, in all of your desperation, in all of your triumphs, in all of your faith. The more you love yourself through all of that, the better life will be. And you'll look in the mirror and you'll see that scandal of the particular just as you would in a sunset, in the ocean, in a star, because that's exactly who you are. Let's know that now. Let us pray. Well, everyone just sigh with me, please, just to keep me company. Breathe in, and sigh. Thank you. I appreciate that. A lot of emotions stirred up today, and I just sit with all of that and trust and know that it is the life force that is God. Oh, and how amazing it is for all of us, for each of us, to have this much power and to have this much grace that is constantly seeking expression in our lives. This unlimited thing that we call God, that is pouring itself into creation constantly, and that we pour into creation as we express, show up, and share. And so I unify with that unlimited being right here and right now. I know it as my life, and I know it as the life of every single person sitting in this center, seen and unseen, and all of the beautiful people that we hold in our hearts, all of our friends, all of our enemies, all of the people who seem for us, all of the people who seem against us. It is all God. It is all presence. It is all awareness. It is all power. It is all love. And so today, together, we celebrate love. We lift up our hearts in love, to know and to trust that love is expanding here in the universe, that love is growing, and that we get to give birth to that love through our intention and through our hope and through our prayer. Together we commit to being that place, to being that change that we wish to see, to being the place where love shows up in the world, and we do that through the dedicated work of transformation, of self-healing, and of revealing the wholeness in ourselves and in all things. And so today, even if I don't know how, I'm going to ask you to just repeat after me. Today I reveal wholeness. Today I am living love. Today I am magnificent. Everybody, good job. And so I give thanks. I give thanks for this beautiful, beautiful sanctuary, for this sanctuary that is made beautiful certainly by the building, but most especially by the people in it. I give thanks for this teaching. I send beams of love to churches and temples, mosques, ashrams, everywhere. I bless all paths to God. I bless fundamentalists and atheists, knowing that everyone is a blessing in their own way and that everybody is a part of this mystical, powerful puzzle that we call life on the planet Earth. And so with a heart that is so filled with thanksgiving and so filled with gratitude, I say thank you once again for the healing and the transformation that I know that has occurred here today because of our spiritual work together, that has occurred through the music, through the fellowship, through the sharing, through the hearts, through the words, through all of it. Thank you, Sean. We love you too. And with a heart so filled with gratitude, I say thank you, Spirit, thank you, God, and I release these words into the mystery, and together we say, and so it is.
Yes, I can't help it. God makes me want to sing. Ooh, I can't help it. God makes me want to sing. Oh, makes me feel so good. I can do most anything. Sing it one more time now. I can't help it. God makes me want to sing. Let me hear you now. Come on. Oh, you guys are good. Woo! Makes me feel so good, I can do most. Makes me feel so good, I can do most. Makes me feel so good, I can do most anything. Woo! How about these guys? Yeah.